I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you. I'd like to compliment Globe for the excellent idea of bringing together legislators, business leaders, civil society representatives, and the media from developing and developed countries to discuss climate change. I wish I could have been with you, but I had travel plans to another continent. So I'm delighted that my colleague Pamela Cox from the World Bank Group is attending, and I look forward to learning more about discussions from Pamela. Brazilians, and especially their legislators, have shown real leadership in convening this forum. I have seen that developing countries view climate change as both a local and global challenge. They want to be part of the solution, yet they also want to be heard, and they should be. The dialogue that you will have in Brasilia and in the following months advanced by Globe can be of great benefit in forging a practical and effective post-2012 agreement on climate change. Brazil has long been active on important aspects of the climate change agenda, including forestry, energy, and biofuels. In Rio in 1992, Brazil hosted the assembly that produced the all-important United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. I had the privilege of guiding the U.S. team that joined that landmark accord, so I know well the issues in debate and Brazil's heritage. Many developing countries recognize that climate change is a global danger. They are concerned about its effects on economies, livelihoods, and the quality of life of their people. Indeed, for many poorer countries, climate change is today's crisis, not tomorrow's uncertainty. In December, I participated in the Bali Climate Change Conference. I heard directly from developing country leaders that they want to address the challenges of climate change. But they also want, and rightly so, to grow their economies, to expand opportunity, so that the benefits of sustained and sustainable growth reach all their citizens. In order to progress, developing states will need to satisfy the increase in energy needs of their industries, the service sector, and the population at large. They need new infrastructure. They need effective integration within their regions and with the world. Poorer countries need to be assured that resources devoted to climate change will not be diverted from the traditional and still pressing development needs. No global negotiation will be successful if developing countries are not engaged as partners with different needs and capabilities to contribute. A fair global approach in the context of a shared responsibility means that we need to support developing countries as they combine growth with safeguarding the environment. Early in my term at the World Bank Group, I explained that we would seek to advance an inclusive and sustainable globalization. The World Bank Group is now helping to address climate change through 7 mutually supportive actions. We very much welcome your advice and counsel as we do so. We know we will need to learn and do better together. First, we have been building synergies between climate action and development. Climate change policies cannot be the frosting on the cake of development. They must be baked into the recipe of growth and social development. It's imperative to integrate adaptation and mitigation strategies into core development work. As a global cooperative of developed and developing countries, the World Bank Group is ready to help countries shift to a development paradigm based on low carbon growth and adaptation to climate change. Second, we are providing innovative and concessional financing to facilitate public and private sector investments in low carbon and adaptation projects. The Global Environmental Facility and carbon funds have been instrumental in increasing the global benefits of the environmental initiatives supported by the World Bank Group. And the successful replenishment of the International Development Association, IDA, the arm of the World Bank that helps the world's poorest countries, should enable us to scale up climate change support for these nations without diverting development assistance from other needs. As the UK, US, and Japan recently announced, we will work with them and others to develop large-scale concessional financing mechanisms to support clean technology investments and the transition to low-carbon growth paths. Third, the bank is pioneering and advancing new market and trading mechanisms. In Bali, we launched a new carbon forest partnership facility that will pilot incentives to communities for reducing emissions from deforestation while improving rural livelihoods and safeguarding indigenous peoples. In addition, a carbon partnership facility will move carbon finance from retail to wholesale, allowing purchases of emission reductions from entire sectors rather than project by project. This pilot will expand the reach of the carbon market and the tools for climate change mitigation. I believe the bank group can do more. working with other actors to deepen the efficiency, depth, liquidity, and range of services for carbon market trading. Carbon markets will have to be a cornerstone of the new climate change accords, and we need to strengthen them. Fourth, we are drawing on new technologies as important tools for generating energy while limiting the impact on climate. Yet this low-carbon technology adoption by developing countries will need to be much quicker than it has been for other technologies. The World Bank Group is working with other partners on new financing and incentive schemes to facilitate technology deployment and transfer to developing countries. The new fund initiated by the US, the UK, and Japan offers a timely opportunity to drive this innovation ahead. Fifth, the bank group and its private sector arm, the International Finance Corporation, are working with countries to create an enabling environment and facilitate participation by the private sector in climate change solutions. The sums necessary are simply too huge to be handled solely by governments and public institutions. Through policy changes and through the International Finance Corporation, we're helping create an enabling environment to tap private sector capital. Sixth, we are also working with developing countries to support policy research on climate change and development, to help share information and tools for analyzing the impacts of climate change and developing cost-effective mitigation and adaptation strategies. We're now working with 6 countries: Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Mexico, and South Africa on customized assessments of pathways to low-carbon growth. Finally, by advancing these 6 activities, the World Bank Group is learning and building valuable experience in the field of climate change so that we can play a supportive role to the United Nations and the negotiating partners as they develop a new climate change agreement. We look for your help, support, and advice on how we can be a better partner. Of course, for any major policy issue, and this one certainly is, successful approaches require public legitimacy and support. That is why a legislators' forum is a wonderful innovation. Practical and effective solutions, in turn, need the involvement of the business sector, which you wisely invited. And both public and private action depend on civil society, which is also represented. The decisions we make in coming months on energy policy, land use, forestry management, transportation policies, and technology will have major consequences for the sustainability not only of economic growth, but of the planet itself. I wish you all success in your discussions. I look forward to hearing your conclusions, and I appreciate your partnership. Thank you.